to the Weird and the Wise. It is no mistake that you have found us, and we're glad that you're here. We are a group of misfits, and we'll explain what that means here in just a second. Practitioners that are here to usher in the new of what's happening in the world and to give a place of solace, a place of community, a place of growth and transformation for all who are seeking that right now. So, should we start off with what weird means, you guys?
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just share what I've been reading here. I love the idea of how this word has evolved over time. So when we go back to that, why is it Wyrd? Well, that's an old English word, and just kind of reading here, related to fate, destiny, the unfolding of events beyond human control. And it originates from the Old English word, which meant that fate or destiny. It was associated with three Norns, the Fates in Greek mythology. But I love kind of moving forward a little bit. It's a deeply mystical and philosophical term, offering a unique lens on fate, free will, interconnectedness. But unlike rigid determinism, it's often associated with fate. With Wyrd suggests this dynamic unfolding process. I'm just reading as I go. Some of this is a little repetitive. But what I love too is also the weird that we know today, Wyrd, apparently came from Shakespeare's Macbeth, where the three witches are called the Weird Sisters. And in this context, it still carried that old meaning, but took on this mysterious supernatural quality and kind of transforming to where we are today. Like, yeah, it feels like it fits that we are the weird and the wise. It's like we're bringing in that um, maybe that feeling of not feeling completely connected to this old system that is falling away around us, seeing all of this change that's happening. And yeah, what do you think, Cassie?
Yeah, I love when we decided on that on the weird and the wise and using that kind of older grammar. I think it's just such a cool way to really bridge, who we are, because I feel like we are ancient beings with a real cosmic, neurodivergent essence. And that we all probably have been called weird. I know I've been called weird my entire existence. And I didn't ever really own that as like something mystical or in any of the terminology that you just read. I put it in the box of there's probably something wrong with me. And I've learned over time that it's really our uniqueness is where our gifts really lie. And so I know as a collective, that's part of what we want to help people do. And what we're continuously doing is walking our own path of becoming. And we're at a time period in the world where things are really changing really quickly. And we want to build a community and support people on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we talked about creating the community, we did talk about, well, who else will want to do this? And we thought, well, pretty much anyone that resonates with what we came up with as a misfit, right? And yes, that right there speaks to me because I have been weird and I haven't fit in most of my life. But as we began to unfold and sort of unfurl what misfit meant for us, it was like mystical, intuitive, sensitive, futurist, indigo, tree hugger. And that's what we're hoping resonates with you too. And we are excited to be offering different modalities and different ways to come home, back home to yourself and your own magic and to navigate these times that we're in right now. So I don't know, like, I feel like to keep this as short as possible, we can just briefly talk about what we do individually. And then, hopefully folks will go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
I'll share. Well, Stephanie, you and me have been doing paradigm shift discussions for a few years now. Well, more than a few years, probably 5 years. Um, and talking about these shifts in consciousness, these old systems falling away, and people having these awakening experiences. And in the midst of that, maybe not knowing where to seek support. And knowing that was the case for us too. So that idea that we are the avatar for the people that we want to attract, right? And so wanting to continue that conversation. And certainly I've been on a path of learning hypnotherapy and the subconscious mind and how it wants to keep us in places that are safe. Well, at the same time, when we step into these new ways of being, it can feel unsafe because we don't know what comes next. So, kind of using that as a modality for change. I expect that we'll probably share some different kinds of meditations and reflections and things here that will hopefully resonate. And Reiki practitioner and energy worker and authentic relating facilitator. I feel like we're in the midst of a isolation pandemic right now, that people are not knowing where to go to find their people, their groups, the ones that resonate with them. And so bringing in those connection practices. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing that. This is kind of an evolving process and space, and I think it will become clear as we go too what that looks like and what that means.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, as a creative transformation guide, part of what I do is to bring people to help people call themselves back home with like metaphor and symbolism that can be found through the creative process. But the most important thing is that you don't have to be what people would call an artist. It's just working with color and movement and sometimes frequency and just working to ground and get back into that heart space, which happens very naturally when we tap into our creativity. And I think, having something like that offered monthly, along with hypnotherapy and along with possibly breath work or whatever, Cassie is feeling called to bring to the table. It feels dynamic, it feels exciting, and it also feels really grounding and nourishing.
Beautiful for both of you. Just I have so many things coming in all at the same time. I've been working with, I would say, neurospicy, highly sensitive, empathic humans in private practice for a decade now, and I'm a natural researcher of like what is the themes happening here that are really keeping people struggling, people stuck. And one of the biggest things that was my own journey, as well as what I see other people, is the inability to be with our bodies, to be with ourselves in a way that really allows more of who we are to come to the surface. And so I've kind of dabbled in all of these different healing modalities because I wanted to really understand, why like therapeutic work alone isn't enough for neurodivergent people. Like we really think differently, we see differently, we experience more kinesthetically. Yet the world's been so overstimulating that most of us are living outside of ourselves. And so yeah, I'm a big heart-centered person. And I think at the end of the day, like the biggest struggle is that people are alone and they don't think there are other people like them. And I want to hold the torch up for the weird. Um, I love also using the word wise because a lot of these people that I see, including I know the three of us, are also old. Like we're old souls. We came in old. And a lot of these new, ways of living do not align. Like I need slow, I need less stimulation. I need to be outdoors and to connect in ways that feel really authentic and true. And that's what I want to help other people find as well.
Absolutely. So what at like whatever is calling you here, trust that. And we hope that you take the leap and become part of our community because oh man, there's just so much to discover and so many gifts to find within ourselves together. And I think it could be really, really amazing.
One thought I'd love to share with too is that idea that all three of us are doing a lot of things out in the world in different spaces and different places with different people. And we love the idea of allowing this to be our after hours nightclub hangout kind of space. Like you're probably not going to see as many polished things here. It's more about having real conversations, having real interactions, certainly sharing the things that we're working with in the modalities, but kind of doing it in a way that we're, even thinking about the misfits and our mystical, intuitive, sensitive, futurist, indigo tree hugger folks, that we can do this with a certain level of levity. Like, it's really needed. I mean, so much of the magic is in the play and allowing ourselves to be imperfect, allowing ourselves to try new things. And even that idea that there's no failure, there's only feedback, so that we can learn and grow together. And just excited to see who we meet through this process and what kinds of adventures are ahead. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really touches that place of like we're here to learn. Like we're all the teachers, we're all the students. We are all here to learn because we're missing really core ingredients. We didn't get the guidebook for how to be magical and how to be a misfit in this world, and so we're in this together.
Absolutely.
well, we look forward to seeing you all.
Mhm.